Hey guys, Darkovika here with a RPG Maker MV tutorial. So what I'm going to go over today is something that you can probably do in almost all of the RPG Maker games, but I'm just going to do it in MV. So let's say you've opened up your engine and you want to create some type of game, obviously. If you don't, well, I don't know why you purchased this. First things first, we have to know two very important buttons up here in the dock, and I'm actually going to turn on my magnifier. So these two buttons right here are the ones we're going to go over today. This first one on the left, the one that I already have selected, is the map. It switches to map editing mode, and that's what we're currently in. So if I come over here and I select, let's take a look through our tiles. We have here some land tiles, so I can pop down some land, some rocks. Lots of rocks. As you can see, the nice thing about this engine is that obviously these change the way they look as you connect them together. So that's kind of cool. We have different types. We have ice rocks. We have just regular old water if we want to attach some water to the map. We have grass that we could put down. That's pretty cool. We have some different type of grass that doesn't involve sand. All right, these look cool. So that's basically what we have here. I haven't actually seen this. This is new. Interesting. Okay, so now we have our overworld tiles, and these tiles are very specific to what is known as an overworld or a map, a world map. In older JRPG games such as Final Fantasy, when you left a town, you often found yourself on a world map. So let me go ahead and show you guys an example of a world map, and I'm actually going to right click on my little project over here. I'm going to say load. And you'll see that there are actually loads of different types of maps already pre-made for you here. If you're like me and you have no artistic talent whatsoever, and every time you make a map, it turns out like the thing that's going on in the background. So these are different types of world maps that you can see here. Now, you'll notice that these all have the word world in front of it. And that's because these are using the textures and tiles that we currently have selected over here on the left. I'll go over the rest of these maps in a second, but let's focus on the world maps. Let's go with this nice world. So this is huge. We're gonna go ahead and just zoom out of this all the way. This is ginormous. It's still too big. And this is the map as a whole. Now let's go ahead and click this second object, this event, which is important for making events in this world. You see these squares are very tiny now. We're gonna go ahead and just zoom in a little bit. And we're actually going to right click and set this as our player's starting position. Now this is how we change where our player spawns in the map. And this is actually what it's probably going to look like while the player is playing. So you can see there's like a really disproportionate size thing going on here with our player and a mountain. They're very different in size. And that's kind of the point. In old games like Final Fantasy, that's how these overworld maps looked. So if we were to play this right now, first of all, we have to save. If we were to play this, let's give it a second. It's got to figure out what it's doing. This is what we look like. And here we are. You can see us walking through the forest. My zoom doesn't really like what I'm doing to it. We can walk over these like hills and these mountains. We can't walk on top of those, which makes sense. We can't walk on the water either. We shouldn't be able to. Oh, look, the water's animated. That's new. At least I think it's animated, unless something's going crazy. Very cool. That's very new. Okay, neat. I am going to quickly turn this off because I am actually going to be running around in this and moving my mouse really fast, and it's going to look very strange. So let's go ahead and make a town. Over here we have loads of options for a town. Loads. These are all images. Now in order to put these guys down, we actually have to have the other thing equipped, which is what I did first, which is our map editor. So now I can actually place down graphics and have them do stuff. I can put down, now you'll notice here I can put them down one piece at a time, and they're actually layering, which is cool. But what we might not want that. We might want the whole thing. So you can actually like select all of this and just pop it down, which I don't think you'd really want to do. So let's go ahead, Control Z. We'll just leave our little place like that. Maybe we'll put another one over here. There we go. We have 3 castles and a random blue house. And we're going to add another world to the mix. So let's say we want a regular old town, maybe a forest town. It's kind of cool. There's an abandoned town, a snow town. I mean, these are all pre-made. You can make your own maps. I'm just really bad at making maps, and for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna load in some worlds. So we now have a forest town on our map, but we have no way to link these up, supposedly. So if I were to jump into this game again and try and access our new forest town, nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna walk on top of this, and obviously we're not teleporting. I could do whatever I want. Press shift, we could run around. We can't get anywhere. Like, this isn't doing anything. So let's go ahead and jump back, and we're gonna use our event maker. So our second button of the two with the little event dude. And let's go ahead and make this where we go. So let's do this the hard way. We're gonna double click it, left click, double click, and it opens up our event editor. Now, the best way to handle these is to name your events so that you can keep track of them. Some events are very repetitive, and naming each and every one of them is just sort of used like NPCs. I mean, you can. It would help you keep track of what your events are. It's mostly just for you. There's no real way to do it. So let's go ahead and name this town entrance, and we're also going to name it right, because I clicked on the right part of the town. Actually, we don't even need to do that because we're just going to copy it. So the next thing we need to do, and I'm actually going to bring my magnifier back, is we're going to come over here. Priority is below characters. We want our characters to be able to walk on top of this. That's basically what this means. If the priority is the same as the characters, I believe they will not walk on it, and it's the same thing for above characters. So above characters means that you can't walk on it, and same as characters means you can't walk on it. Below characters means you can walk on top of it. It's an event that you can walk over and around, and player will never see the event or see anything with it. The same as characters and above characters has a different way of accessing it that I don't recall offhand. We'll go over it later. Trigger. The trigger is how the player will activate your event. So we have action button, which is like pressing A or Z for the keyboard. Player touch, so that's when the player walks over it. Event touch, which is when any other event touches it. Auto run, which means happen right away. And parallel, which means it's acting alongside several other events. Because most of the time, if it's auto run, it will happen and all other events will have to be put on hold. Parallel means this and other events will happen at the same time. We're going to make this a player touch because we want our player to teleport into the town when they walk on the square. So the next thing we're going to do is go to the second page. I double clicked on the white square. We're going to go to our second tab where it says movement and hit transfer player. We want to designate a direct designation. We're going to select what map. So we want it to go to our forest town, and we want them to teleport, let's say here, right near the front. We don't want them to teleport here because this is how we're going to make them go back. So like if they were to teleport right here, if they were to go down, they would actually go back to the world map. So let's teleport them a little further away from where we're going to have them teleport out of the town. And that's how we make a teleportation, or rather how they go to a town from the world map. So now you can see this square is shaded because it's telling us that we have an event there. And we can copy this event and paste it right here. And it will have the exact same name, and it will have everything the same, so that if the player were to walk over either of these squares, it will teleport them to the same place. So let's test this out, and I'm actually going to, turn off my, hang on. I'm having a moment here. There we go. All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and save, and we're going to test this. Let's make it zoomed in again. And here we are, and this time if I walk over this, there they go. Now we're in the town. So you can see that nothing in this town is set up. There's no music, there's no NPCs, these doorways don't lead anywhere because we don't have maps for it. So you have to create events for all of this. We'll get to how these tile sets work and how I'm able to walk into some parts of a tile and why I'm able to walk behind some parts of a tile, why I'm able to walk on top of some parts of a tile. We'll get to that later. And how this grass works, we'll get to that. Whew. So, that said, that's how you create an event in the game and how you can connect a town. You can do this with doors. Now, there is a nice shortcut to this. You can right click, quick event creation. Let's turn on my magnifier so you can see this better. So again, I right clicked on this tile. I'm going to say quick event creation. Oops, come back. And we can do transfer. We can say door, which will actually put a door image, as you can see right here, and tell it where we want it to go. If we want them to, I don't know, teleport here for some reason. And now there will be a door. And if we double click this event, we can see everything that goes on that it's just created automatically for us so that we don't have to keep recreating this. So we'll say this is an end door. And that's how we'll name our event. So let's turn this off again. We'll save, and now we can test play again so I can show you what's happened, what's changed. We'll go into the world. Let's go ahead and try the other square so you can see that it works. Teleported, and now here's our door that we've just created, and it has a sound, and it's teleported us exactly where I told it to. Wouldn't that be weird to walk into an inn and pop out like another house? All right, there you go. So that is today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this and it was helpful for you, and it explained some possibly very confusing techniques. I'm not thinking of the right word. Mechanics. There we go. Mechanics of the engine. You'll also notice before I leave that the textures over here have changed. That's because we're in a completely different type of map. Let's actually go into edit. If you double click on a map over here, you can, oops, let's close this. If you right click and go to edit, it will open up the map's properties. So here's the name of the map. Display name will actually show something. So let's say, we'll say this town 1. Now it's not going to show this name up in the corner. It's actually going to show town 1. So we would probably split this. We'd probably say like town 1 over here. And then over here, we could say Forest Town, or we could give the town a name, like, I don't know, Glendara. We'll give it some kind of fantasy name. And here's where we can change the size of the map, and here's the tile set. So these are the different types of tile sets that we have, and these give you access to different types of tiles that you can use to build your map. So we have the overworld, which is what we use to make the map. Outside, which is what we use to make the town that we're in right now. Inside, which is what we use to make inns and houses and castles. We have dungeons, which is fairly obvious. This is science fiction outside, and this is science fiction out in. I'm sorry, I think I said those, but you get the point. These give you special tiles that MV has included with the engine. I think, unless it's DLC. I could be wrong. It might be DLC. I'm not actually 100% sure on that. And that's how you access these different types of tile sets. So if we were to change this right now, let's change it to science fiction outside. We have a completely different map. Completely different. Look at this. The town walls are curtains. So obviously everything has changed. So you can't simply change to access different tile sets to get a different looking town. You will actually get something completely different, and it will change everything that you've done. You can go back though. So if you were to make this mistake, we can go to outside, hit OK, and we have our town back. Perfect. All right. That is everything I wanted to cover for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. And if you guys have any questions in the comment section below or anything to add to my tutorial, please post it. I will comment to everyone. I will reply to everyone that I can. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.